Good day! Did you know that Meralco supplies power to more than 8 million customers? And because of that, the company plays a significant role in driving economic growth. How's that? Well, grab your cup of coffee and join us on Freshly Brewed, where compelling conversations brew between fascinating guests and Business Mirror's journalist hosts. Meralco is a household name for many families, but do you know what areas does the company serve and how does this coverage helps drive growth in those communities? In what ways has Meralco contributed to business continuity and resilience, especially in high-growth sectors? All these and more will be tackled as Attorney Arnel D. Casanova, SVP and Chief External and Government Affairs, talks about powering progress, service reliability as a driver of economic growth with our very own Lenie Lectura, BusinessMirror's Energy Reporter.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Freshly Brewed of Business Mirror. I am Lenie Lectura, Business Mirror's Energy Reporter, and today's discussion is about service reliability as a driver of economic growth. The Manila Electric Company is a power distribution utility firm that drives economic growth by powering not only households but also industries and businesses. It has been doing this for over 100 years now. The task may seem easy, but it takes a holistic approach to energize millions of Filipinos. In the first half of the year, Meralco reported over 8 million residential, industrial, and commercial customers in its franchise area. These are in Metro Manila, parts of Bulacan, Cavite, Rizal, and select areas in Pampanga, Laguna, Batangas, and Quezon. Joining us today is Meralco's Senior Vice President and Chief External and Government Affairs Officer, Attorney Arnel Casanova. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Freshly Brewed.
Good morning, Lenny. Good morning to our viewers.
Yes, hello, sir. For my first question, Meralco is a household name for many Filipinos. But for those who are not familiar, just how far your reach goes. I mean, how does Meralco's vast coverage help drive economic growth in these communities?
Actually, Meralco is considered the biggest power distribution company in the Philippines because we distribute more than 50% of our nation's power supply. But if you look at the geographical land area, Meralco's franchise only covers 3% of the Philippine land area. So we're basically covering the entire National Capital Region, as you mentioned, parts of Laguna, the entirety of Bulacan, Rizal, and Cavite, and parts of Quezon, and 3 municipalities in Batangas, and part of Pampanga. It's actually very small when it comes to land area, but in terms of capability and output, it within the Meralco franchise is more than 65% of the Philippine GDP. So it shows very clearly the impact of Meralco when it comes to the economic growth.
Yes. You have right now how many customers to date, sir?
We have about 8 million and it's growing. So because the population is growing as well and the industries are growing. So we have, what we see now is actually the need to, in fact, create more growth across the country, not only within Meralco, the area, but across the country so that everyone can be lifted up.
Okay. Meralco turns 122 years old this year, I believe.
Yes,
so
we are that old.
Yeah, congratulations, sir. How would you describe the role of strong distribution utility company in enabling national economic growth?
Well, Let me cite an example which is very clearly demonstrated by the economic data. In Batangas, for example, Meralco serves only 3 municipalities, and the rest are served by the 2 electric cooperatives, Batelec 1 and Batelec 2, and 2 towns are served by Iban Electric and First Bay. These are 2 small private utility distribution company as well. But so there are about 34 towns in Batangas, and only 3 are being served by Meralco. But when you look at the energy sales, Meralco's energy sales in those 3 towns actually exceeds the entire province combined. So, and when Meralco entered Batangas in the 1990s, the cumulative annual growth rate of the economy in Batangas is 14%. That is double-digit growth year on year for the last 30 years.
Right.
So when you look at those 3 towns, those are the most progressive towns in Batangas compared with the rest of the province. So it also shows why Metro Manila is also the center of economic growth and economic productivity, and also the Calabarzon area.
Yeah, Calabarzon.
So Meralco provides reliable power, which the industries need.
Yes.
That's why you will also see the congestion of people because of this is where the opportunities are.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Recently, Meralco's franchise was extended for another 25 years. And since the franchise limits the area where you're supposed to put up services, I believe joint ventures such as the one you executed with Paleco before is a way for Meralco to widen its reach and also help electric cooperatives improve their services. What other electric cooperatives are you eyeing joint ventures with, and how will this approach help drive economic growth?
Actually, we're looking at all the electric cooperatives who are willing to have a joint venture with us. Well, there's a very simple reason for that, and it's nation building. Because when we look at the economic data again, the GDP per capita of Filipinos within the Meralco franchise is about 503,000 per annum. But the rest of the country, outside the Meralco franchise, the average GDP per capita Filipino is only 150 to 200,000 pesos per GDP per capita.
Right.
So there's a gap of 300,000 pesos per annum per capita GDP. So we have to. The reason for that is there are no industries in the countryside. So if you're going to set up a manufacturing facility, a steel plant, for example, a data center, or a semiconductor plant, let's say foreign investors coming in, even for agri-industry, cannery, cold storages, and even tourism, they cannot survive and grow as fast when there is unreliable power. A clear example will be in the tourism industry and the agriculture industry. You need cold storage for the farmers to lengthen the shelf life of their products.
Correct.
So, because they will rot if you're not able to give them refrigeration, for example, and even for processing. So, because there are no industries like that, the farmers would remain poor. The tourism would not be as big as it should, and therefore many Filipinos now are becoming OFWs, and that also shows and demonstrates clearly why the Philippine economy is a service economy.
Correct. That's correct.
We haven't fully developed our manufacturing similar to what Taiwan did, and Vietnam is currently doing as well. So because those are the job multipliers.
Oh, that's good. Okay. I believe we're also in talks with Batelec. How is this progressing? And are there any other ways, aside from joint ventures, that Meralco can help smaller cooperatives?
Yes. So that's the structural challenge of the electric cooperatives. Historically, the electric cooperatives were created for rural electrification, which means that the challenge then at that time in the 70s and 80s was actually to bring power to the residences, mga bahay. But now that the world has changed drastically, technology has advanced so much that everything is powered by electricity, even vehicles now. At that time, there's no electric vehicles. In 70s and 80s, there were no computers yet, laptops or PCs. Now you have data centers, supercomputers, artificial intelligence. All businesses are run by computers and electricity. So the demand for power has become so big that the non-stock, non-profit structure of electric cooperatives cannot cope with. So private capital is the only one that could really adapt to that challenge. That's why we proposed to Batelec that since Batangas is the fastest industrializing province in the country, we want them to be prepared for the present and the future growth. And we submitted a proposal for a joint venture with Batelec for Batangas so that we could infuse capital and make basically brownouts not a problem. So we want to provide that reliable power so that the industries and investments could go into Batangas.
So, do we hear anything to be signed soon?
Well, hopefully, yes. Hopefully, hopefully they're going to accept that, and hopefully the process moves as fast as it should. So we need to address some regulatory issues, but hopefully our regulators would see the value of having a reliable power in the countryside.
Good luck on that, sir.
Well, yes. Thank you.
So, kindly share what Meralco has put in place to protect vulnerable communities from service disruption, such as the Philippines normally experiences 20 typhoons in a year.
Oh, yes.
So, do you plan to make power lines disaster-proof?
Oh, yes. Actually, we call that the hardening of the infrastructure of the grid and the distribution network. So Meralco is a gold standard when it comes to that. So we have upgraded our standards and made sure that our technology and our infrastructure could actually withstand the challenges that climate change has brought upon us. So we are prepared for the super typhoons, for the floods, and that's why it's always often said that despite the super typhoons, the lights are still on.
Yeah, lights are still on.
The only time that we really turn the light off is when there's a danger of electrocution, particularly when the floods are rising. But normally, even during typhoon times, the lights will be on. Yeah.
That's good to hear, sir. Sir, for the high growth sectors, can you walk us through how Meralco has contributed to business continuity and resilience? And how has reliable power distribution services directly benefited or supported local industries?
Oh, well, yes, as I mentioned, for agriculture, for example, is the local industries. Talking of local industries, in a place where Meralco is, and you can look at the example of Laguna. Laguna will be a great example because there's a place in Laguna where Meralco serves, and a place of Laguna where an electric cooperative is the one serving. The more developed part of Laguna is the place that what we call the industrial belt, from San Pedro up to San Pablo. So you see those areas are where the economic zones are. Calamba, for example, Cabuyao, Santa Rosa. But the place where the poorest part of Laguna is actually where the one served by the First Laguna Electric Cooperative. That's in Pagsanhan and Siniloan area. So that's part of between Rizal and Laguna. So we're actually hoping that they'll be open to a partnership with Meralco so that we could make the entire Laguna more progressive. So you'll see that when Meralco comes in, business comes in. So that's the Meralco branding. There's so much trust in the reliability of Meralco's power supply and distribution that that's the same also with Pampanga. When we, as you mentioned, when we partner with Pelco 3, Pampanga Electric cooperative, when we became the management contract partner, the Ayala went in, and the industrial parks grew, and now the challenge is how to build even more. So that's the benefit of having Meralco as a partner.
Yeah, good to hear. Sir, the evolving energy landscape is driven by technology and modernization. Could you tell us about Meralco's investment plans to modernize the distribution infrastructure, and how do these support long-term economic development?
Oh, yes. So we're looking at distributed electricity. So we have rooftop solar panels, so that we could aggregate the supply. And also, we have a smart grid already. We have the SCADA system that's actually state of the art. And we're investing in nuclear technology because our installed capacity as a country is actually very low. Our installed capacity is almost 30 gigawatts only for the entire 115 million people. But if you compare that with Taiwan, Taiwan has only 25 million people. And it's a very small island, but it's a manufacturing giant. That's the example. It's a manufacturing giant because its installed capacity is about 61 gigawatts. That's about twice that of the Philippines. And yet, its population is less than 25% of the Philippines. And the land there is even very small. So we need more power supply. And that's also the reason why, because there's scarcity of supply, so basic economics, the power generation would be higher. So when you have the economies of scale and you have more power supply, then we could see that the generation rate will be lower.
Yeah. We can all agree, sir, that there is an increasing focus on green initiatives. And how is this integrated into Meralco's core business? Do you have programs in place that will encourage customers to choose sustainable energy sources?
Yes, we have. Actually, we have invested, one of our biggest investment is the Terra Solar project, which is the solar, it's a renewable project, a solar project. That's about 3.5 gigawatts of solar power. So, but recently there's been a challenge about the grid stability that was allegedly being, what was the cause of solar dependence on solar supply in Europe, particularly in Spain. But there's our electrical engineers, which are the best in the Philippines, they are saying that we're adopting new technology, particularly the grid forming inverters that could adjust to these changes. So our technology is actually state of the art. We're looking at the best technology around the world. Yeah, we're the gold standard.
Yeah, and how can consumers tap into this green technology?
Yes, so well, both as a consumer and as a producer of power, because if you install solar rooftop, then you could actually supply also. So we have an ongoing program for that. We're about to roll that out probably in the coming years, but it's ongoing. It's at the early stage. But for solar rooftops for bigger loads, we already have that. We have our Spectrum company. We have a subsidiary who's going to help those who would want to put up solar panels in their rooftops.
Right.
And also net metering and smart meters also. We're looking at that. Yeah.
That's good to hear. So to cap our discussion, what's your long-term vision for the role of distribution utilities in shaping the country's energy future? What can Meralco bring more in the years to come?
Well, my view, and that's particularly my role in Meralco, is we really need to go beyond the Meralco franchise. And for Meralco being the biggest distribution utility in the Philippines, it has a duty to help and empower our electric cooperatives so that everyone could be lifted up. At a certain point, Metro Manila can only accommodate so much. That's why we have so much traffic congestion, right? But the industries must be able to move outside the Meralco franchise and expand so that it could create more economic opportunities in the countryside. Basically, my analogy is that we make the pie bigger, right, for everyone. So our initiative now is really to empower the electric cooperatives. Then the supply will come in, the demand, and then the industries and the jobs will be generated, and everyone, and eventually affordability would be easier to address because if you have better purchasing power, then the affordability becomes much more of an issue. But for industries, it's the reliability. We believe that we have to focus on reliability so that the industries could grow and could move and can invest further, and then the economy will be stronger and bigger. So when you have a bigger pie, then everyone will benefit from it.
That would also mean lower power rates?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lower power rates because then the economies of scale is there.
Yeah. From what we've heard today, Meralco continuously works on enhancing its distribution network through its modernization and innovation efforts to ensure the delivery of stable and reliable electricity service. As the country's largest private sector electric distribution utility company, its franchise area is just 3% of the total land area of the Philippines, but already represents 55% of the country's electricity output and accounts for a significant portion of the country's economic activity, making Meralco services vital for the nation's development. We'd like to thank Attorney Arnel Casanova for being with us today. Thank you, sir. Once again, I am Lenie Lectura of Business Mirror, and this has been another Freshly Brewed episode. Thank you.
And that wraps up today's episode of Freshly Brewed. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you have learned more about Meralco's role as a driver of economic growth. Stay informed, stay inspired, and make smarter choices every day with Business Mirror. For the latest stories and updates, visit our website, businessmirror.com.ph, for a broader look at today's business. And follow us on our social media channels. Don't forget to follow, all right? So stay ahead, no more, and we'll see you next time.